Hola.
Benvenuti.
Witamy.
Bienvenue. Ciao ragazzi.
Bienvenidas.
Welcome. Witam.
Willkommen.
Welkom.
Benvenuti.
Welcome at CIONET.
Welcome to CIONET,
The biggest
independent
digital leaders community in the world.
At CIONET, we bring CIOs and digital leaders together.
We help our members on a day-to-day basis with their business challenges
And live unforgettable experience.
But also to collaborate and to get inspired.
Welcome to CIONET International.
The international community for digital leaders that help you realize your ambition.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening if you're in Europe. Delighted to have you today for this inaugural CIONET Spotlight, where we put a spotlight on an important CIO somewhere in the world. And the goal here, when we set this up, was to, as we come into the first year anniversary of COVID, is to look back a year, what happened, how they are ex post thinking about things, but also as we look forward, what are their plans for the coming year? Delighted and honored today to welcome Artie Debidien, who is the Group CIO of National Nederland. They are a large global insurer based in The Hague, Den Haag, Netherlands. Last time I saw Artie, we were having a drink in Haarlem, the Dutch Haarlem, not the US Haarlem, last year sometime. So Artie is a very dear friend of CIONET. In fact, she chairs our CIONET Netherlands organization. For those that you don't know, CIONET is the largest independent community of digital leaders, CIOs, CTOs, and CDOs globally. We have over 10,000 members comprising 5,000 organizations, and we are active in 22 countries. I'll be hosting these every week, 30 minutes, 6 p.m. CET, noon Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. So without further ado, I want to bring Artie on, and we've drafted about a dozen questions or so. We're going to step through these in very quick format. We will be monitoring the Q&A as well. So if I can briefly introduce Artie. Welcome, Artie.
Hi, nice to be here and very humbled and grateful to be kicking off the Spotlight sessions.
Yeah, thrilled to have you today. I mentioned that you were part of and have been advisory board member to CIONET in the Netherlands. I should also say, as of today, you decided to play an honorary role CIONET in North America and be an honorary member of our advisory board here. So we're welcoming you in two capacities. Hey, Artie, let me kick this off. First question is just a little bit about you, your background, and also National Nederland. It's quite interesting. You're new to the role, but you actually joined during the pandemic.
I did. Yeah, that was really interesting, remarkable. But I did. I actually joined NN Group the 25th of August. So by that time, you could really come in if you would announce it beforehand. And to make a clean cut from my previous role to this role, I made it a rule to come into NN being alone in the floors and being alone in a meeting room. But that first week where I went to an office, stepping in the orange vibe of NN, really helped me start a new job, but I couldn't meet these people in person. So that was really interesting.
Looking back 12 months, you came into National Nederland, you inherited an organization, but looking back into 2020, what was already in place that helped you as we entered COVID?
Yeah, so I was not with NN 12 months ago. I was with another company, but also a multi-country setup. So in March of 2019, we discharged a huge transformation and cloud strategy program with my previous role, a previous employer. It was a move to SaaS solutions, move to cloud, improved payments landscape, so many things, and a fully integrated Office 365 setup. I left in June of the same year. So why am I telling you this? Because I cannot take any credit of the solutions that were drafted and designed and implemented with NN. And NN even took it further. So what they did, my colleagues, and without any credit of me or whatsoever, they started with a program also a year ago, setting up the cloud strategy, moving towards fully integrated Office 365 setup. It's a full-on single sign-on setup with a very good performance on infrastructure side. But what's interesting, I think, is that I was always dreaming of a genius bar, if you understand what I mean. Sort of like going into an Apple store, coming there and introducing your problems, being there, serviced by your genius bar, and they would help you out with whatever. So within NN, they have this in place to, if you come in personally, but they also have this in place digitally. And I really like that. So there's a nice self-service portal. A lot of end user use cases are actually automated. So there are so many tools and ways of connecting with each other and fully being serviced. The experience from an end user perspective when you open up a notebook. So I could also do that being a newcomer in August. I took my hat off to NN Workplace Services in this case. And I went in because I knew that a small group was working on a project physically in the office, and I announced it beforehand to come in, and to the team I really expressed my compliments, because I know in the background what it takes to engineer solutions such a way that in the front towards an end user, it really is a seamless, fully integrated solution, highly performing with everything there to collaborate across countries, across domains, initiatives, with external vendors. Everything was already in place. So if that wouldn't be in place, we would have suffered. But in this case, everything was already in place in such a way that it didn't harm or introduce any problems. And it was really, I think this was like it was intended to be.
That's great. That's great. If, you know, as you talk to other IT leaders in the business and also business executives, what's the emerging thinking inside of NN in terms of the lessons learned? So, you know, you're sitting in a business meeting with other executives and they say, Artie, what did we learn in the last 12 months in this whole pandemic? What do you think are the top 2 or 3 things you'd pull out of that?
Oh, that's a really interesting question and difficult to answer because there are so many. It's really a matter of from which abstraction level you want to, or conceptual level you want to address this. But if I can just fill you a little bit in, so NN International, because I am positioned as a CIO International for NN Group. And I work with all of the CIOs in the countries, with my local team, my Dutch team, and I also connect NN Group services and NN Group to the NN countries. So we normally travel a lot. We travel to all the countries, we come back, we have our meeting and so on. So we are driving change and connecting these BUs and group services to gain trust, to build partnership, to really win hearts and minds. And I would say my personal biggest lesson is that you really do not need to be physically there to actually have a connection that goes further than just the basics, the facts and the figures and the managerial things. So because I came in and I had to do it fully digital, introduce myself to all of the CEOs, all of the CIOs, and really try to understand the people behind the position, try to really connect what drives them, why are they here, what are they all about, and also who am I? And I'm very thankful that I could do that very swiftly, because normally in having physical meetings across all of those countries would have taken me months and months, and now I could really do it in a different way. But the tone you use, the language you use, and the way you have the meeting is about things beyond work, and that way you could really connect. So somebody made a joke saying, I've seen every room in your house, and that's probably something that we need to take into account, that you really show your personal thing. For instance, something else, to give you an example, we had a New Year's dinner and my husband could really be there. So the CIO International introduced a New Year's dinner, everyone in their own homes, but connected to a camera with the spouses in. I thought that was really, really nice, to connecting to people. So why are we traveling? Could we do that differently to save the planet? Could we empower teams more to just pick up empower them more, because you cannot be there? Quit monitoring, empowerment, leadership, those would be probably the lessons learned, I think. Making maybe a clear distinctions why you have a meeting. So I hope when we go back after the pandemic, we are not pushed back, because it's very natural for humankind to bounce back to normal behavior. And we have those meetings on a lengthy board table and having the distance from another. So I hope we can take these types of lessons in.
Okay, so a follow-on question. I keep freezing here. Apologies, I don't look like that. I see myself freezing. Sorry about that. Follow-on question is, what do you think the organization could have or should have done differently? And again, that's at what level do you want to take that question or context? But when you talk to the business leaders and how IT supports the business, is there already some emerging things that you could have done differently, or you're thinking about, and not a difficult question, but how might you have done things differently, in 2020 as COVID evolved?
Yeah, it's maybe not differently, but what we could have done more, but in hindsight. Yeah. So because we already were connecting and interacting with our customers digitally, which was with our partners, with corporates, because we have numerous services for our customers. We have a lot of brand names. We were already connecting digitally. That really helped us. We could have done that more in hindsight, and moving forward, we would take that into account. So the pandemic really helped us see this more clearly. And also, what can I say? I secretly, please don't tell this, it's only for this closed community, I secretly admire a CEO within NN that we have in Czech. So please don't tell him, that would be awkward. But what he did, he really started vlogging with his teams. He started vlogging and he started a movement across Czech. And also at some point it got picked up with us. That a CEO is vlogging, he's doing, how-to tutorials, and his team gave workouts and they started cooking. And he also started a really good initiative to help others in need. And it trickled down to others. This is something we could have done more. So we could have, people were seeing this, we could have done it or made it bigger. I really admire him secretly. So it's in this 900 closed community. But I hope this is something that sets the tone for the future. There are blurred lines. We can really connect. Being digital really helps you reach out to people and scale that reach out. I'm sure a lot of people have seen him So the person behind the position, I love that.
I'm smiling because I do know that a lot of your country CIOs are on the phone today. So
Really?
I do, yeah. So I did see the distribution list. Hey, let's look forward. You know, it's January 2021. What do you see being the critical shifts you're going to make and the plans for 2021 and beyond as we're a year into this now?
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe this again soft, because I think that it's a basic capability to have all that technical knowledge and all that digital knowledge and the data knowledge and cloud and modern strategy knowledge. But the tone, I still think, for technology for the coming year is to speak in the language the business understands and the customer understands, because we could really move up the ladder, enabling the business more. So this is very much on my mind. I'm really thinking about, could we just stop being so technical? That's good. Could we shift our minds and shift the language to really understanding the implications for our customers, for our partners, for our business, and really enable the business. That's really something on my mind. The other thing is that I really think that from business side, everyone has already said it in the paper, saying who really shifts digital transformation? Is it the CIO? Is it the CDO? Is it the CFO? Well, in this case, we know it was the pandemic that really shifts it and said now, because it has been clear for IT people for so many years, they were already on cloud. They were already doing a lot of things digital and online, but now, without any force, the whole world has seen that that's the way to go forward.
Let me follow up on that question. Boy, this freezing. I keep getting if you see my screen, I'm frozen in a funny look. This is quite humorous today. Let me double down on that question. You talk about this need, this perennial problem of IT not communicating well with the business and, talking dolphin all the time. That's been a 30-year problem. Are you going to plan specific interventions to do that? Or is it just telling everyone, hey, we have to speak in business terms? Or practically speaking, Artie, how does that plan unfold in 2021? Because it's a perennial problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But so in this case, I'm already very confident and very happy with where we are. But we're still trying to be like business and IT. What if we could woo and wow customers? And what if we could woo and wow the business? That really means that we have to get in the skin of our front lines and understanding their impediments and then getting back. What can we creatively design? And then it's a very large group, a very large organization. So we have to, I think it's a responsibility of the leaders to make an environment where people are allowed to make a lot of mistakes, experiment, take a little bit of a risk. Come on, just try something, make it work. So that yellow color, if you understand what I mean, thinking ahead of time, not being in today, but being in tomorrow and the day after. And then from that intention, speaking the language of understanding insurance, banking, investments, and technology, and then coming up with creative solutions, that would help really shift the partnership. So this is what I mean. It's not just saying, stop talking Python.
Yeah. Quick one. What are the business priorities, without us all reading the annual report, what are the business priorities for NN Group in 2021 that really align to the IT agenda? So when you look at all the business priorities and you pull them down, which ones are the most relevant for IT? Obviously, public information, what you can share. Where do you really see the orientation of you as CIO and your team for the duration of 2021?
Yeah, so I could say a lot of things that goes for the whole industry. So personalized, offerings, being there before customer ask for a service, unburdening them, having nice features in, or digitalizing your value streams. I could say those things, and everyone in the industry does that. But I think that what we need to do and figure out is to reinvent how we do business. Well, that sounds a little woozy or fuzzy, but that is actually what's needed in the whole FS sector across all of the business lines. How could we stop thinking in the box that we know and really reinvent this? Because somewhere down the line, the whole traditional construct will not work. Our whole, the way we work together and our value streams will have to be reinvented by means of technology and by means of digital. And so I'm really looking forward to that reinventing the business means that we need to foster a culture wherein we try things and see how it works. I was with Harvard last year, really understanding how you could unlearn a whole lot of things about yourself and about your company to learn to do things in a totally different way.
Now, we didn't rehearse these questions, but you led me to an area that I really want to spend a few more minutes on before our time's up. And a lot of people don't know you have an HR background. You started in HR and then you transfer over to on the technology side with Dell, and then went into financial services. But your roots are HR. How do you how do you see the IT organization, and picking up on your earlier point about speaking more in business terms and working with them? How do you feel that leadership, talent, culture, people, that whole puzzle, in 2021 and beyond, from a because you're also a very accomplished HR leader. So that people side of IT, how is that evolving at INN?
Yeah, so I see it more as my job and as my responsibility to make an impact there. Also, HR, I had, and so automation and computers were in my system, in my DNA, but I couldn't find a single person around me, female, ethnic background, to somebody with my characteristics starting a IT job. So it came later on. But I wouldn't say I'm from HR. I would say so every year I would say I am about people, and I am about connecting hearts. And knowing this, I would say, moving forward, we should blur the lines. So old systems, old leadership, managerial, top-down, command and control, also hierarchic systems. Could we blur those lines? Because it's really harming a lot of things. And also, how can we find a way to have a collective knowledge? Because there's a huge there's a huge power in collective knowledge, but we still are hostage in the old systems and constructs. This is something I'm really mindful about, and I'm trying to figure this out. Also, everything that is a friction in your company could be slicing bureaucracy, or could be managerial or cultural change, cultural things. Could we be aware more about how friction in your company weighs on employees and take those frictions out? So I think this is in the benefits of people.
We're going to squeeze in 2 questions in 3 minutes. Okay. So bear with me here. One came from the audience, which is an excellent question. And then I have a remote hybrid working question to finish on. And I'm just going to read this question directly. It just came in on my phone. It says, CIOs have been instrumental in keeping companies going during the pandemic. What do you see as the most important new skill that CIOs need to learn during this crisis and in a post-COVID era? So we know what the skills they have, but what's the new skill that they have learned or ought to be learning during the pandemic?
Yeah, to me, it's an old skill, but that has to do with my personality. But I would love to see it more. CIOs just voicing things, being there, being bold and brave and courageous, but also vulnerable, speaking out. Why did we need the pandemic to push digital? Why did we need that? Well, we could fill an hour talking about that. So that risk-taking, voicing, being that change agent that is really able to shift mindsets and to enter into dialogue with everyone. It's clear bravery, being there for the change. It's an old skill, I think, but we need to really inspire all of the CIOs to take this into account more.
Great. And last question, and it's on everyone's mind. As we look forward, of course, yesterday, the Netherlands Prime Minister Rutte announced an extension of the lockdown. But as we, try to look forward into Q3 and Q4, and there's a vaccine, and what does the future in look like? Does it look a lot like 2019, and we go back to the office more? Is it much more remote? Is there this hybrid model in the middle? Where do you think the organization ends up?
I'm a little bit anxious personally if we would get back to old behaviors, which is completely, from a psychological point of view, completely natural to people. But bear with me. So if you are in a meeting now, digital, you see all the faces here, and I could pick up on non-verbal communication. I could stop the meeting and say, wait a minute, this introverted guy or girl has a brow, is not releasing the brow. Tell me, what is your concern? In a normal meeting, this never happens. Never is a meeting in an office, physical meeting, stopped because of feelings. I hope we don't go full on in meetings on large tables, just going through paper and decisions and the blue side of things. But we stay connected on that people and people side of things and feeling side of things. Excellent.
I said it'd go fast. It went fast, including this wonderful conversation, Artie. I missed our last Borrel. I hope to get to the Netherlands in 2021 and we can have another one. And hopefully Herman's listening and he can buy us another drink. Yeah. So this has been streamed today. I just want to thank you sincerely on behalf of all of CIONET for participating. I want to remind everyone that we will next week have Alan Eddy, who's the CTO of AST, not the old computer company, but AST is a multi-billion-dollar transfer organization. So if you buy and sell shares around the world, somebody has to register and transfer those. They're the middleman, in the stock market. I know that's not a great explanation, but Alan formerly was at Nordea Group, the largest bank in the Nordics. He's now based in New York City. So we're going to bounce from this week in The Hague to next week in New York. Again, it'll be at 6 p.m. CET and noon Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, Wednesday, the 20th. So thank you again, Artie, on behalf of all the listeners today. I appreciate all the Europeans waiting so late in the evening for this. And we'll see you next Wednesday at noon.
Thank you for having me, and have a nice day, everyone here.
Thanks, Artie.
For the last 15 years, I've been on a quest to discover the DNA of the most successful digital leaders in the world. What makes them tick, what's in their minds and in their hearts. We are sharing deep insights from our world-class CIOs so that you get inspired, can learn and reach your full potential as a digital leader. If you are an ambitious technology executive, then I invite you to join CIONET. Join our community so that you too can realize your ambition.